Hi, everyone. Welcome to MindBody TV. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ellen Rainford. I am part of Team Kim. I am an EH graduate, and I am a mentor in the Embracing Health community. So welcome. Kim had some travel difficulties, and her flight was delayed, and so she is not able to be here. So I get to take this opportunity to embrace my fear and come on and host. So thank you so much for being here. Please let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from. And this is the final episode of Mind Body Miracles, where we have been interviewing people for the last month who have graduated from Embracing Health and who have had incredible shifts. So I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Heidi, to Simon, to Carrie, and to Amanda for having the courage to come on here and share their stories and the incredible healing that they have had through the Embracing Health program. Today, you have 3 EH graduates and 3 EH mentors. So I am joined by Jen Young and by Enjolique Zimmerman, and they will tell you about their healing journeys, and they are here to support the community in Embracing Health. And their guidance is so supportive, and they are such an asset to the community. So as you listen to our stories, I want you to really kind of sink into your own self and light up and know what is truly possible for you. Because if it's possible for the 3 of us and for all the other people in the EH community, it is definitely available for you. So again, welcome. Please let us know where you're tuning in from. And I will start and tell you a little bit about my story. First, I want to just share what I often share in the EH community, and that is it's really important to release any attachment that you have to any outcome of healing. Because this program, like the healing of your physical disease or symptoms, is the cherry on top. This program is so much more than that. This is about stepping into your wholeness, about stepping into your power, and really living life to its fullest. And then that gives the body the ability to do what it knows how to do, and that is heal itself. So a little bit about me. Before I started Embracing Health, or I was the ultimate people pleaser. I was living a life of suppression. I was afraid to stand for my truth. I didn't even know what my truth was, to be quite honest. I kept busy serving others. And then that way I didn't have to deal with what was going on in my own world. I was afraid of crucial conversations. And I just played small. And I had so much fear, and Embracing Health really helped me conquer all of that, but especially my fear, because had it not been for EH, I wouldn't have had the courage to actually host today. There was no way. So instead of running from my fear, I now embrace it. And I know that the greater the fear, the greater the opportunity for expansion is. So here I am. Okay, a little bit about me. As I said, I was the great suppressor. I was always busy doing things for others, never for myself. And then I like to say that one day the universe said, you're not listening to any of my clues. I'm going to pull the ignition out of you as you're going 120 on the highway. And life came to a complete stop. For me, I was diagnosed with ME/CFS, which is chronic fatigue syndrome. My Epstein-Barr virus kept reactivating, and I had Hashimoto's, along with adrenal fatigue. And I fought so hard to heal myself. And the more I fought, the sicker I got. Because like Dr. Kim says, what you resist persists. And so I fought it because I thought that was the way to go. And it wasn't. So eventually I found this work. So just a little bit, I was totally housebound. I was not bedbound, but I couldn't really do anything. I could not drive my son to school. I could not cook meals. I did spend most of my time in bed. I think I had set a goal of in 2 years, I'd like to be able to walk to the stop sign. So that's kind of where I came from. I was living in a pure state of paralyzing fear that I was dying and total victim. I don't know how I stumbled onto the EH Masterclass, but I did it, the workshop. I had no idea what Dr. Kim was saying, but something in me was like a ding, ding, ding. I knew I had to listen further. I had never spent this much money on a course, and I questioned how could I afford to spend that much money? And now I question, how could I have afforded not to? It was so life-changing for me. It taught me how to deal with all of my emotions, how to sit with them, how to not be afraid of them, how to welcome, how to find the gifts in every situation. And I truly, my illness was the greatest gift, and it is still teaching me to this very moment. Right now, the universe is trying to show me how powerful I am with so many things that are going on in my life. And I welcome it because I know that I am capable and strong and resilient and powerful. So that is some of the stuff that has helped me from embracing health. And I am so happy to say that once I learned the act of surrender, of softening and not fighting, that's when things started to change for me, accepting of what was happening in my life. And the truth is, there was so many more blessings for me than symptoms. So I'm going to fast forward to where I am now. Disease can't live in my body. It's not living in my body. Hashimoto's is healed. EBV has not shown its face again. Chronic fatigue is gone. I do get tired sometimes, but I am really pushing myself. I am traveling. I was just traveling for a month. And I know how to deal with it. I know how to let the fatigue move through me. So that is just a little bit about my story. I'm really more interested in interviewing these two gorgeous light beings and sharing some of their story with you. So I am going to bring them on. If you have any questions about anything that you're hearing today about the Embracing Health program, the doors are closing May 31st at midnight Mountain Time. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer all of them at the end of this session. And Angelique and Jen, welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
That was so beautiful, Ellen.
It was wonderful. And it's so great to be here with both of you.
Thank you. You too. So for everybody, Jen and Angelique are EH graduates. They each have their own story to tell, and they are mentors in both the Facebook community and, more importantly, in the Embracing Health community. So this is just half of the mentorship team, or actually, I think we have 8 now. And we are there to hold you, to guide you, and to show you what is truly possible through our own experiences. So, Angelique, I'd love to start with you. If you want to just share with us where you were before EH, what brought you to EH, and then where you are now and how you're thriving.
Sure. Where I was before I got sick is kind of a complicated question for me because I felt like I've been sick pretty much my entire life in some capacity. Kind of a central question from the time I was really little is what is wrong with me? I was extremely sensitive, so I was an outlier that way. And I was the little girl who was crying over the bugs that the boys were squishing on the playground. What's wrong with me? And I was the girl who was in the hospital once a year, every year for all the random things. What's wrong with me? And that culminated into eventually in my mid-20s, everything just got to a point where I couldn't manage it anymore. I had been putting out fires for my entire life, and I just was so aware that there was something bigger and better available to me. My real catalyst was my son, who aged into the maturity of asking, Mom, why are you in bed all the time? Why are you tired? Like, can I help? He used to make me these sweet little snack platters and bring him to bed for me. And it was amazing, but it also broke my heart because I felt how much my story was affecting his. And I knew it was time to take control of my narrative again. So I, like Ellen, am not quite sure exactly how I found Embracing Health. I believe it was a Google search that just popped into my mind that said, can my mind heal my body? It was the first time that question had ever even occurred to me. And I found Dr. Kim and I found her website, and I don't think I had ever been so lit up by a yes before. And I didn't even have the language to express that then. But it was just like my soul was going to jump out of my body. Like, you have to do this. This is the next way. This is the next invitation.
So can I ask you, Angelique, what were you diagnosed with?
Absolutely. Yes. So eventually, in my mid-20s, I was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which the doctors, they explained to me as my house is a body, or my body is a house, and it's made up of faulty materials. So they used bad materials on the plumbing. They used bad materials on the electricity. And you just never know where an issue is going to pop up because collagen is the connective tissue. It's everywhere in the body. So I would have extreme digestive distress. I had POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia, where your blood pressure dips and raises and you pass out a lot. And so there was all of that. And then there was the mental exhaustion, the depression, anxiety, panic attacks. Like, after you live your whole life in chronic fight or flight, your mind starts to run in circles trying to keep up with it. And you just keep running in those circles until something interrupts it, which brings me back to Embracing Health. So I found Embracing Health, and like Ellen, it was not anywhere near in my budget. I was unstable in all the ways. Financially, emotionally, physically, subluxations, dislocations. I went through periods of being bedbound where I would have a month or two where I just couldn't do any more than get up and go to the bathroom. And it was awful. So I found Embracing Health, and I said yes to it, even though I felt terrified and I didn't understand logically how anything was going to help me if my house was really made up of all these faulty parts, right? But it was through Embracing Health that I came to realize that all the fires were signal fires. They aren't just, my body going haywire. It's my body trying to communicate to me what it needs from me in order to heal itself. And that was embracing, that magical word, embracing. This course could not be named anything more apt. It was about leaning into my sensitivity and learning how to live from a heart-centered place. And from there, having resolution of physical symptoms, instability in my finances, having suddenly the most amazing relationships, mentally just clear all of a sudden, there's no panic attacks, there's no anxiety. There is magic and meaning infused to all of my moments now. And it's because I've learned that the answer is inside of me, and my presence is what brings that magic.
So how, from the symptoms and the diagnosis, like how's your Ehlers-Danlos gone?
It's amazing. Like I never know how to say it's a genetic disease, right? So am I technically cured? Like, I don't know. And I let all of that go because it doesn't matter. I can tell you that I am the most healthy and vibrant I have ever been in my life. I used to be at the whim of every day, if that makes sense. Like, what is today going to bring, and how am I going to be able to protect myself or prepare myself for the pain I know is coming? And I can't tell you how opposite of that I live now. I show up with a full heart, and if there's pain, and sometimes there is, it's my body speaking to me, and I love my body now. Like, it's not the enemy anymore. It's not the failing house. So I'm able to be tender with it and say, what do you need? I can give you all the time in the world. I've had resolution of total digestive distress. I used to be taking Miralax and magnesium citrate twice a week just to get my digestive system to move. And that is not an issue. I eat with joy and fluidity. POTS, I used to micromanage that with lots and lots of water and salt tablets. And it's just a non-issue most of the time now. I feel vibrant in all the ways I used to feel deficient.
So beautiful. It's so true, right? Like, that's what we learn as part of embracing health, is like to find the love and the compassion for ourselves and for our bodies, and just allow things to move as opposed to just fighting and fighting and fighting.
Yes. And your presence and your open heart are the catalyst. They're not the enemy. They're the invitation. They're the leaders. If you follow them, you follow them into health. So yeah, it's about getting more sensitive, not protecting yourself from being sensitive. It's about leaning into it and realizing that, gosh, your heart and your wisdom and your body are so capable, and they have the answers, and they have the next best thing that's waiting for you. Like, your body's always pushing you in that direction. And that was something that I was completely unaware of for most of my life.
Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. And who would you say that EH is for?
Everyone.
Even somebody who's not diagnosed, right?
No.
Like, this is a whole being transformation. This is not a disease transformation.
This is a lifestyle elevation. This is a livelihood transformation. This is, I came into this program expecting a diet and exercise regimen, and, like she was going to have the key pieces of things I could physically do that was going to make it all better. But what it ended up being was an invitation to look inside and to presence myself and to feel into the spaces that felt blocked and stuck and clogged. And through doing that, there's freedom. Who knew, right? Who knew that, like, the darkness and the scariness and all of it, that when you breathe and soften and take steps into it, the light is suddenly so clear and you can feel it.
It's so amazing when we release the fear. I mean, the fear is what keeps us stuck.
100%.
Right? Yeah. And just
Absolutely.
trusting that the universe is giving us everything that we need for our own journey and expansion.
Absolutely. And it overflows. Once you feed your soul, everything in your life gets fed. Your relationships, your everything. I can't even, everything.
So true. I like to say that, my cup was always full, but it was the size of a thimble.
I love
Right?
that.
And now
Right?
it's like the size of a cauldron. Like, so I pour so much into myself, whereas before I wouldn't pour anything. And now my family gets to feed off of the overflow that I have. And
They're
it's
nourished
so
and
much more nourishing.
they're changed
Yeah.
just by you showing up and
Yeah.
showing them what's possible. Ineffably. Like, you don't need any words. Like,
Yeah.
you just show up and you are it, and people are invited to feel that. And I just had someone say to me the other day, like, I don't know how this happened. Like, it seems like things really work out for you. Like, where does this magic come from? And that was such a surprise to me, because my whole life people have been like, oh, you kind of have a little black rain cloud following you around. And it's like night and day now. And without me having to talk about any of it, people feel it and they notice, and they're like, can I have what she's having?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
You
know?
can definitely feel the energy. Patty asks, is the root of all fear the fear of death? For me, it is. 100%. For me, it is. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I think fear, period. You don't even need to quantify it, right? Fear is an energy that's ready to move. So it doesn't matter what it's being afraid of. It's about being willing and compassionate enough to breathe into it.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Angelique, do you have anything else that you would like to add before we move to Jen?
Just that my mantra, I think I said this the last time I was interviewed too, is that to suspend disbelief, which just means to hit the pause button on all the mind programs that are running that tell you that this can't happen for you. That sounds really easy. And it is easy if you breathe and soften and allow and just remember that your body will show you what it can do when you get your mind out of the way.
So true. Anything is possible, and everything.
And let your body show you. Like, you don't have to take our word for it. Like, take some of these principles, practice them, and just notice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for being such an incredible shining light for this community. We are lucky to have you holding us.
Thank you, Al.
Jen.
Hi.
Hi. Would love to hear your story.
Yes, I'd love to share it. But I just have to say how anybody could look at that bright, magical light coming out of Angelique and say that your parts are broken is the most heartbreaking thing I've ever heard. Right? Like, no part of you could ever possibly be broken. And it's the same for everybody watching, you know? Everybody has that level of magic in them. And it's never, ever, ever about brokenness, ever. But I thought it was for me too. So I guess I'll start with my journey, right?
Yeah.
It was so similar to both of yours. Like, we walked the same path. They have different labels, but it was all the same pain and all the same energy. But I was born innately sensitive too, just like you, Angelique. And I came into a family that was just so weighed down in pain. And they were like world champion suppressors. So everything was like shoved deeply into our bones. It's what I learned. So I was so epically sensitive that I was shoving everyone else's pain too. And then I had experienced some abuse outside of the house, sexual abuse, and I had no pathway to metabolize it. So I did the same thing. I shoved it in my bones. So most of my life, I was ill too in different ways, just like Angelique. Different weird symptoms, different weird pain, massive depression, like life-threatening, scary depression. And I chased all of those for so long, trying to suppress, as I was taught, because I was a good girl. And they just kept morphing and shifting into something brand new, because my body was trying to show me like, hey, this You are not a garbage collector for the cosmos, right? This was not your divine journey to shove all of this in your sweet body. So it wasn't until, gosh, I don't even remember how old I was when I first started to get sick. I guess right before I turned 30 is when like everything kind of hit the fan. And I was diagnosed first with Lyme disease and all of the juicy co-infections, and then chronic fatigue and Epstein-Barr and Candida, and gosh, the list is so long. Multiple chemical sensitivity, heavy metals, parasites was a fun one. All of the things. And then this rare, obscure autoimmune disease that they were going to name after me. It was exciting. And none of it helped. None of it worked. And like Ellen, I was fighting so hard. I was fighting for my life. If someone said you need to cut off your arm to like get through this, I would have. And it just reminded me, I was thinking of like my craziest moments. I was sick for a while before I got so sick I couldn't function. And I was a teacher at this little one-room schoolhouse, like a little Laura Ingalls schoolhouse. And it was a lot of pressure because I didn't want to let anybody down. But I was so sick I could barely breathe. And I lived on this little island with no healthcare. So they would give my husband and I these shots, these like intermuscular shots. In my memory, they're like this long, but they probably weren't that long. Because I couldn't leave the island to get help. So I would have to drive home from school, and my husband would be waiting with these shots to like intermuscular into my poor butt. And then he would shoot me up, and then I would drive back to work like on one cheek, and then teach all day long standing up. Like that was my level of fight. And that was nothing. Like there were so many, I don't know why that's the one that popped in my head. There were so many moments of just ridiculous attempts to survive, you know, and survive like gripping with my fingernails. So obviously that didn't work very long, but it did for a couple of years, like that level of battle and fight. And it was just unbearable. And
now you were bedbound, correct?
Yeah. Then I hit the wall. Boop. And I couldn't get out of bed for like a little over 10 years. Like couldn't lift my head off the pillow. Like I would have to calculate how many drops of energy I had that day. And like I would say, oh, am I going to have a conversation with my sweet daughter, or am I going to brush my teeth? I better not brush my teeth and wait for her to come home from school so I can pretend that I'm fine for a minute, you know? IV, like on this little island, what was I thinking? Like IV hooked up to my bed, like doing it all ourselves. The nurse would come over once a week on the boat. And I was like, yeah, this is a good idea. So crazy. Yeah. And I existed that way for a while. It was barely alive. And looking back, I can see now where I am that I was never fully alive. Like even as a kid, I was just running for my life, like in this battleground. And it was agony. And I had this moment recently where it all became so crystal clear who I was before I was sick, when I was in bed, and then now. I live in New England. And a couple weeks ago, the Northern Lights came down to New England, which is like total. Angelique knows because I sent her a picture. But it's like was totally magic. It was like a magic trick that never happens, right? Mm-hmm. And my husband and my daughter and I were running around in the darkness, like playing hide and seek with the Northern Lights. It was like magic, and we were running around finding them behind the buildings. And it was such a moment of clarity. And so much compassion for the one that I was in that bed, right? Who really was so suppressed I could feel nothing. I was so frozen and so numb. And I was running around with my magic trick of a daughter. I mean, she is a supernova in and of herself. And I could feel like the magnitude of love I had for her, where I couldn't feel it. The one in bed could not feel it. I was parenting out of fear. I was parenting out of suppression, and all I could feel was my defense mechanisms, trying to prevent her from having the childhood that I did, which is ironic because half of my pain was because my mother was so sick, and now here I was in bed trying to prevent that agony for my daughter, right? I was like, now fast forward, and I'm running with the Northern Lights, finding them, playing tag with them with my daughter, and so like every cell in my body in love with her, like in love with every part of who she is. And then I had my sweet husband, my poor husband who had to inject me in the butt. But my poor sweet husband who, when I was in bed, I couldn't feel at all. And I actually thought we were doomed. I thought there was no way we were going to make it past this, right? We went through that illness totally alone. And I totally blamed him for it at the time, little me in bed with the IV, right? But I did not realize, maybe I didn't realize until those Northern Lights, how much I had blocked him out. My pain and my trauma. There was no room for him to show up for me.
Yeah.
There was no room for him to support me or love me. And I shamed and blamed that poor man. If he's watching, I love you. Like our whole journey, because I had so much pain, especially so much pain with men when it, with sexual trauma. And it wasn't until I healed that I watched my kid bloom in this magical way. I mean, it was the best part of this. And now my husband and I are a magic trick. And I love him with every cell in my being. And that is like aliveness. That is vibrant, beautiful, magical aliveness. And it's why Ellen says, like, this cannot just be about eradicating symptoms and illness. Like, that is not enough, right? Because I kind of had moved through the worst of my illness. I fumbled around by myself before I found EH. So when I came to EH, I was kind of almost functional, right? But the world was still in black and white. I still couldn't feel my daughter. I still couldn't feel my husband, right? And EH is what allowed me to find the magic of the Northern Lights. Like, people ask, what does Kim mean when she says the matrix is changing and shifting? Like, who I was in my 20s before I was sick was not a world where you could play tag with the Northern Lights. Like, it wasn't available to me. It wasn't possible. I couldn't even see the moon, never mind the Northern Lights, I was that dark and that suppressed and that numb.
It's true. You say black and white, and that's exactly how I feel. Life before embracing health was black and white, and now it's technicolor. It's like the Wizard of Oz technicolor, and where anything is possible.
Like, literally anything.
Yeah.
Right. And I also feel like the internet and all of this world is really full of a lot of static of all of these things that are going to save you and take this pill and you'll jump out of bed too, right? All of these things that are put your power so firmly outside of yourself. And it's really distracting. And it's really hard to know how to follow your heart when everyone is really trying to say, look over here, I can save you, I can fix you. And to me, that is the difference of EH, is it's not this pill that you need to swallow that I need to constantly give you so I keep you hooked and dependent on something that's not you, right? This is, how can you find your own Northern Lights? How can you find the magic of your kid that you can't feel beyond your numbness?
Yeah.
It's everything. It's everything.
So how did this work help you?
I mean,
like, what about the program? I want to give everybody just, some specifics so that they know what is available in this program.
Yeah. I think this is exactly what it did for me. Before, right? On my own, I was fumbling alone in the dark. I was puking this out on my knees in the bathroom, thinking that I was the only one that has ever had this experience, thinking I was all alone and without an iota of support, right? But then I found EH, and it was like, come on in, honey, we see you, we got you, I've been you, right? I felt like Kim was there rubbing my back. Finally, you are not alone on the bathroom floor. And here is a map. I know this map because I've walked this path already, right? And that's what we are, the three of us, the rest of the mentors, Kim. We're these shiny beacons, so you're not the one alone on the bathroom floor anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have to figure this out. And Kim has laid all the breadcrumbs out for you. Every tool that you're going to need at the right time in the right moment, right? I was just crap, I better figure this one out, But EH, it's where you're going. You don't have to figure out any of it. It's like Candyland. You just follow the cute path, right? And we remind you if you happen to stray.
Totally. Totally. And where are you now besides chasing the Northern Lights?
Yes, I am miraculous. I have amazing friends. And I'm fully alive. I am working. I am in love with my life. I am in love with my clients. I am in love with my family. And this, I had no idea that being a human could feel good.
But okay, so that's what I've learned. Being a human means you have to feel.
Yeah.
Actually.
All of it.
Right, all of it.
Yeah. Right? Because I felt nothing.
Not just the good from here up. Like life is so good. And inside you're like,
That's so important, Ellen, because it wasn't until I felt everything I'd suppressed, everything I'd run from, all of the fear, right? I couldn't feel my magic trick of a daughter because I was bumping up against everything I'd suppressed.
Yeah.
So in order to get to the Northern Lights, I really had to love myself enough, love my family enough to go through and finally give myself the grace to feel all of it unabashedly. And I will tell you this, because I've done it both ways. It's so much easier to do it in community than to do it on the bathroom floor.
It's so,
Because together we create this massive container, and there is nothing we can't hold together. There is nothing we can't heal together. There is nothing we can't move through together.
We become the proof for each other, right? When we're not strong enough to see that on our own. Like, you can do it, so I can do it. I can do it, so you can do it. Like, let's normalize miracles, right? Like,
totally.
It's all possible.
And that's how I feel like the mentors are. We're just these like lampposts that are showing you what's possible and guiding you on that path and calling you out when you slip back into victim.
Yes.
And like, we are there. We are so loving. We are so supportive, but we love you enough to hold you accountable to your highest self, not to your small self, not to your victim self, right? And not only that, everybody else in the community will do the same. And there will always be people who are on an upswing, and then people who are on the down, and the people on the up are always reaching. If anybody is watching live and in the program, let everybody know what the community aspect of this program is. To me, it's a container that is second to none.
Yes.
And is such a huge part of this program.
Yes, and every post you read in the community, or every healing seat that you see, it's other people's healing is your own. Like, it's almost, this is a quantum reality. We're all connected, right? Angelique heals, so I don't have to. Ellen heals, so I don't have to. I do mine, so you don't have to, right? And all of it becomes this divine journey where the whole collective is expanding. I mean, it can't really be understated. It's that massive.
Yeah. Beautiful. Anything else that you would like to add, Jen?
I feel like I've been talking a lot. I don't think so. If nothing else, I would join up for EH to work with you too. The truth, because you are that sparkly to me, and you've shifted my life that much.
Likewise.
Yeah.
A million %.
All right. Thank you both. I realized that I didn't really kind of say where I'm at, except that I'm disease-free. I am living life to this fullest of abundance that I can. I'm so committed to my own personal freedom, my own growth. I am traveling. Like, I feel like I was robbed of so many years of living. I was barely surviving. And so now I'm walking 4 miles a day, and I am like feeling energized, and I'm traveling for a month at a time. And so know that this is all available to you. Whatever your vision of true living is, it is available to you. And when you find and connect to your joy, no matter what is going on in your reality, things shift. And they shift quite quickly. So, thank you, ladies. I would love to, if anybody has any questions about EH, please feel free to put them in the chat. I think Dr. Kim is in there. We will be happy to answer them. I would love to take this opportunity to just let you know the framework of the program in case you are sitting on that fence of, is this for me? Is this not for me? First of all, it's a 12-month program. We only open the doors once a year. So the doors close on May 31st at midnight Mountain Time. If you choose to wait it out, the doors will only open again June 2025. That is when the next program will start. So the invitation is to really dig into your clarity and see if you have that ding, 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 that it's my time. I'm ready. I am ready to live life to its fullest. So this year we have added a second tier to Embracing Health. In the past, Embracing Health has just been Embracing Health, and all of us have just gone through regular Embracing Health, or as we're calling it, Tier 1. Any of the testimonials that you have read have been from Tier 1. Tier 1 gives you, once a month, Dr. Kim will lead a live integration call where she will do some teaching of whatever the theme of the month is. She will answer some questions, and then we will be having 1 to 3 what we call heal seats, which used to be called hot seats, where people can put up their hand and work one-on-one with Dr. Kim, and she will help you to resolve and move whatever is needing and ready to be moved in that moment. So that is the first Thursday of every month. The calls are live on Zoom. They are recorded, and they are 90 minutes long. Every other Thursday of the month, there is a weekly check-in with the mentors or one of the mentors. And Dr. Kim does one as well. And that is a great time for you to ask us questions and to build the relationship in the community together. And we will answer the questions. And then the last Thursday of the month, we do the calls at 5 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Eastern, so that our friends in Australia and New Zealand get the opportunity to join live. All calls are recorded. If you can't make any of the calls, no worry. The impact is just the same. The transmission is just the same, whether you are there live or whether you are watching the recording. There is also a lot of coursework. There's recorded videos to watch. There is monthly tapping, monthly EFT tapping. There is a monthly audio meditation for you. You get to choose the pace in which you do the course. There is no right way. There is no wrong way to do it. I think 2 hours a week is probably a good number, but you do what works for you. If you are traveling 1 month and you miss it, just pick up on the next month. You have access to this program for the life of the program. So every year, so for instance, the people that are in just graduated, they will now have access to all of the recordings of all of the calls for this upcoming year of Embracing Health. And we have done a lot of changes this year. We've added a lot more structure. We've added the neuroplasticity program, which is phenomenal. We've added liquid dance. We've added tapping. And I think we've added a couple of different audios. So that is Tier 1. Anybody who is interested in doing a deeper dive in a very small and intimate setting, you may be interested in Tier 2.
I'm excited about Tier 2.
I'm so excited about Tier 2. So Tier 2 You get everything in tier 1, plus there is 1 monthly Zoom call, interactive. Dr. Kim will do quarterly calls for 90 minutes where she will work one-on-one in the heel seat. So this is your opportunity for direct access with Dr. Kim. So she will work with you and speak with you one-on-one. It's like getting a private session almost, right? Where you can work with her. The other 8 months, there will be 60-minute Zoom calls, interactive with the mentors. And we will also be helping you integrate what is going on and ready to be released. Those calls, for the most part, are all Thursday, the last Thursday of the month at 11 Mountain, 1 p.m. Eastern. They all take place on Zoom. If you are ready to take this step, we are waiting for you. Yes. We are waiting for you with open arms. The other thing that I want to just touch on before we go is the power of this community. It is, okay, besides meeting these 2 women who have become such close friends of mine, it's the most supportive community of people who know what you're going through. I remember when I, was diagnosed, it was like nobody understood. I felt so alone. And you walk into this group and it is very active. The conversation is private. It is active and it is supportive. You have the opportunity to ask the mentors anything in the circle group. The circle is the platform that we use, and we are in there daily to answer. So if you are tired of doing things on your own, please consider joining us. And we can't wait to watch you fly. Anything else, ladies?
Yeah, I think I'd like to offer that. And this is a hard thing to hear sometimes when you're the one in the bed. So I'm going to say this with the most open heart, with so much love. Every minute, every breath I took in that bed, I am so grateful for now. I'm so grateful because now I know, right? And now Ellen knows, and now Angelique knows. And now we can really show up to be those beacons, right? And to really be the change that we were so thirsty for when we were sick.
So true. Thank you. Aaliyah, I just saw your post. It's not a coincidence that you came across this today. It is not a
no such thing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Dr. Kim, for the opportunity for me to meet my fear.
You did so good.
And giving me this opportunity to host. I am eternally grateful for you, for this work, and for this community. You have literally not changed my life, but given me life.
Absolutely.
And I have taken every opportunity. So thank you. And lovely ladies, I love you both.
Love
you, Ellen.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Join in next week and every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time for MindBody TV. If you have any questions about EH, Embracing Health, please post them in the MindBody community. We will be in there for the next couple of days to answer them, or email support@drkimd.com. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.